Wow, wow. Thank you so much for staying with us. And of course, we need to add it that at a certain point during the show, you would answer a question and you would get a very fantastic product from NASCO. NASCO, bring home happiness. Thank you very much once again for joining us. We're getting into the conversations very, very shortly, but do remember that we are proud to be associated with Sporty TV and SportyBet. Sporty TV and SportyBet are the official rights holders for this region, and so our live coverage of the games with live commentary on radio, on all of our radio platforms here at Multimedia, in close partnership with Sporty TV and SportyBet. So you can catch this show and many others on many of our other platforms, and you can also catch live commentary of selected games throughout the period till the end of the competition on Joy FM, on Hits FM, on Asempa FM, on Love FM, and on Inshira FM as well. So you stay with us during this period because we are your number one in terms of getting close to the action. And of course, if you want to catch some of the selected matches as well, you could just get channel 36 on your satellite TVs, channel 36 on your digital TV sets, and you can catch some of the games as well. Talk about the games. We're going to go into what happened yesterday right now. Gentlemen, thank you so much for the time. Good to see you. And Atsu, good to have you back.
Likewise.
Yeah. Charlie, last night we did some projections here, and it looks like Turkey just threw all of it, threw all of it in a certain direction.
That's the beauty of tournament football. I think they had a perfect start possible, where that goal that came after, 90 seconds? Is it? Probably less in that game. And from then on, the circumstances sort of forced them to adapt into a shape because they were required to protect the game and the advantage that they had, partly because of just the intensity that the Austrians showed immediately after conceding, but also thanks to their own application and discipline, because say whatever you want about the Austrian finishing, at the end of the day, they were resilient for as much as possible. They do also cut out the goal-scoring opportunities that Austria perhaps would have expected to have on the day, and they were full value for the money.
Mubarak, you were very much, focused on Austria and how they could...
Yeah, I was very confident in them, and obviously because of what they've displayed in the tournament so far, I was very, very surprised when they conceded in, I think, first 52 seconds of the game. Yeah. They conceded very, very cheap goal. They were not defensively organized. For a team like Ralf Rangnick, that was very problematic. And after their opponent took the lead, they never really recovered. They kept on chasing the game, leaving themselves loose at the back. And I feel that was their problem yesterday. But this is football. Football is always and always unpredictable, Nat.
Always unpredictable indeed. And this is where we'll take you back to the very big highlights of the high-octane game that was played yesterday between Austria and Turkey. Well, we'll go to that later on, but we'll come back to the analysis now. Now, let's just take a closer look at one or two things again. Now, for you, what are the biggest lessons that we've all picked out from this particular game? I, for instance, I was looking at the last-minute effort, which got this game and this scoreline intact, where the goalkeeper had to, the Turkey's goalkeeper had to just improvise and tap it out. I mean, this was a goal-bound effort. There's no doubt about that.
It was, and often in situations like that, the coaches will tell you that head the ball down, let it bounce off the turf.
Exactly.
And because it makes it difficult
and 99 out of 100 you score.
You will score. He did. Right, except that this was simply a case of great reflexes and also brilliant positioning from the goalkeeper, because his starting position meant that he didn't have to cover too much ground. So once he stretched and the arm was powerful enough, he was able to simply palm it away to safety. But in that moment, look, many goalkeepers may get lost in all of that chaos and then get their positioning wrong, because he could have easily decided to follow the flight of the initial cross that came in and the reverse ball that created that scenario itself. But he didn't. Simply followed with his eye instead of following that with his body and his feet, right? So at every point, he kept his eye on the ball and was aware of the direction or the trajectory of the ball and the distance between himself and the angle that he had to cover just to be able to make up for it. And for me, he was the hero of the day, because whatever they had done, if that ball goes in, it makes nonsense of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Mubarak, before you make your point, there is also an element of the luck and the fact that your day is your day. Last night was Turkey's night.
Yes, I mean, scoring in the first 52 seconds of the game clearly made it very comfortable for them. I felt, like I said, Austria were so loose at the back. And clearly you could see that from their group stage games, they haven't kept any clean sheet in this tournament. They conceded against France, they conceded against the Netherlands. 2 goals they conceded against a team like Poland, who have been very poor in this tournament. So with their defensive discipline, that part of their game was lacking. They were very good with the ball. They are usually efficient with the ball, and off it, they are intense. But defensively, the structure you expect them to have, meeting a team that they beat 6-1 in March. Clearly, you know that this is a team that would want to revenge that scoreline. They wouldn't want to suffer that huge defeat as well. So I think they had that part wrong. They kept on playing on the front foot. They thought that was the only plan that they could use to secure a win in that particular game. And you see, let's be fair to them. Yesterday, it was an okay performance from Austria. Turkey did very, very well. They had those 2 goals. They defended so well. They had almost all the answers to the questions that was thrown to them by the Austrian attackers. And I think credit should be given to Turkey. But overall, for Austria, I think overall, in the 4 games they've played, they are valiant losers. I mean, let's not take anything away from them. Nobody expected them to top a group with Poland, with France, and with Netherlands. I think overall they've done so well, and then credit should be given to Ralf Rangnick's side.
Okay, so there it is. Let's just quickly relive the moments again and how Turkey managed to get towards this very important milestone in the Euros. Well. And of course, depending on which club you play for, the fans follow you to go and watch these tournaments, and you create a whole buzz as well.
Yeah, Lamine Yamal, Barcelona, and Real Madrid, Jude Bellingham, Real Madrid, things like that. For United, we don't have any good plan in this tournament, so we'll just keep quiet.
The United conversation always gets very interesting, isn't it?
But I was happy for Demiral. Yesterday, he became the first player to score 2 goals in the knockout phase of either the Euros or the World Cup since Lilian Thuram did in 1998. I think it was against Croatia.
1998?
Yeah.
Yes.
That he scored those 2 sets of goals. Yesterday's game was also the first time in the history of the Euros since 1980 that 3 sets of goals were scored from corner kicks. Yeah.
Very interesting, turn of events. And of course, once again, many lessons to learn with, and just like, our friends who practice law, every other day there is a new case that's coming, and it becomes precedent. Now, yesterday, on the technical end of things, we saw these goals being scored by similar format. That just goes to say that there's a lot of work that needs to be done by the defense setup of every other team.
Yeah, I think, look, Nat, defending set pieces is usually very difficult because there are so many bodies congested in the 18-yard box. Others want to defend the ball. Others want to attack the ball. So you can easily lose your marker.
Visibility too becomes very minimal.
It's very, very difficult. The goalkeeper coming in to just clash into his player or the opponent. Things happen with...
There's a very big risk. You can just get a foul.
Exactly. And it's also a very good opportunity to score goals, set pieces, because especially if you have tall players who have the height, players who have the leap, like Cristiano Ronaldo, you are always having the chance to score. Someone like Olivier Giroud, Marcos Llorente. So there are some players that, on dead ball situations, some of the teams...
That's Fernando Llorente.
Yes, the guy who played for Spurs, Sevilla, I think, yes. So now I think it's an opportunity to score goals, and with this tournament, once you are struggling to break down your opponent through the midfield, playing through open play, that's the word I want, you can rely on set pieces, and that could even result in own goals as well. We've seen many times in this tournament where people whipping crosses into the 18-yard box, and the centre-backs, in an attempt to clear those balls, they end up clearing it into the back of the net. So unfortunate.
So unfortunate. So there we go. Turkey going through with that 2-1 scoreline. For a moment, you thought that Austria were warming themselves back into the game. And of course, after the 65th minute, you saw them make a lot of effort, which is also a very big lesson for all the teams. Like a very sustained effort to make sure that they made it 2-2.
Yes, look, Nat, we've seen so many late goals in this tournament. I think from the 85th minute all the way to full time, we've scored about 8 goals. We've had about 8 goals in this tournament. So every team will obviously be emboldened with that statistics. And clearly in football, once you pull one back in terms of the scoreline, you're always inspired to go forward and then do more. You could get the equalizer. And I think Austria, they have that within their locker. They have a coach who never gets tired of playing and attacking football. And they always do that. Yesterday, I think Turkey, you could say they were lucky, but I think they also defended very well because Austria, a team who has scored many goals in this tournament. They scored 3 against the Netherlands. They scored 3 against Poland. Yeah. Okay, so they scored 6 goals in the group stages. So for a team to be prolific like this, and for Turkey, who conceded 3 against Portugal, to limit them to just a goal, I think is an incredible performance defensively from Turkey.
Wow, incredible performance indeed. A lot more to talk about here, and we'll be reviewing that game between the Netherlands and Romania. Let's just look at it from here. Let's begin with the highlights first, and then we'll come back to take a look at how it all went. We have the highlights before starting to say anything about this particular game. So, Malen adding a double to Gakpo's amazing strike. And I want to start off on the point of... Gakpo? Gakpo?
Where is he from?
Yeah. Well, maybe we should ask your former colleague, Joseph Opoku Gakpo. You know, we could just call him and ask him. I mean, they could be family, you know. So this is it really. Why are you asking me when there's a vote?
Okay. Atsu, please, where is he from? Is he a Ghanaian?
He has Togolese ancestry.
Okay.
The Evers trace their roots to Togo and Benin.
Okay.
The Evers in Ghana.
Yes.
You see, so case closed.
Case closed.
We, the Gas, trace our roots to Nigeria. So case closed. Look, guys, Gakpo's strength on the wings and sometimes in the center of defense is just, attack, beg your pardon, is just amazing. And it was brought to bear last night in the making of this goal.
He's a paradox. Because when you break his game down, the individual attributes he has do not exactly tally with his performances, especially in international football, right? The individual attributes he has, if you compare that to so for example, his qualifications, just in layman's language, his qualifications, so if you were to be applying for a job, the CV that he would be having, if you compare that to the job requirements for the listed ads, they do not tally. So if you think of your modern day forward who has a bit of explosiveness, can dribble, can play in tight spaces, has got great associative play, can sometimes cross, can sometimes pass the ball or make that final third pass, can score, can bend it, can shoot, the modern day forward is supposed to have, on the average, enough of all of these. When you watch Gakpo's game, he doesn't strike you as that kind of guy who has all of these. In fact, it is difficult to point out one thing he's great at. Curiously, he's excelling in the major competitions. In fact, yesterday's goal meant that he's now become only the 3rd Dutch player in history to score 3 goals or more in a major competition, in multiple major competitions, right? And for a European player, it's always going to be the Euros and the World Cup. So I think the first player to do it was Johnny Rep, who scored in the Euros in 74 and 78, and then Dennis Bergkamp did it in 92 at the Euros, and then in World Cup in 1994 and in France 98. Gakpo has done it at the World Cup in 2022 and now at the European Championships. Maybe some of these discrepancies in his skill sets and the actual output are why at club level he's not been able to replicate that form and show you brilliant football. But the Dutch would not care because he's been the man dragging the team forward. And in a team that is lacking in terms of match-winning ability, it's refreshing to see that he steps up and delivers the goods for them. Another player that I did not really expect much from was Donny Malen, but he managed to get a brace of goals yesterday for the Dutch team. My only issue with the Dutch is how susceptible they look to counter breaks, and the fact that every time the Romanians bomb forward, particularly through that half space on the right, they didn't look very comfortable. And that's something they would have to work on, because against a more quality opposition, they may be able to convert some of those opening to goal-scoring chances and possibly even score them. Because And it wasn't just in yesterday's game. In the previous game that they played, I think the goal that they conceded against Austria, the defense was all over the place. They were trying to play the offside trap, but it was the leader of that defense who was lagging behind about 3 meters or so and played Sabitzer onside, and then they profited from it. Against France, they didn't look too convincing in that game as well. And so we are getting closer to the stage where there's not going to be any margin for error. And it's important that the manager is able to iron out some of the kinks there. And before, is it Saturday that they are playing the quarterfinal match? But they will at this point, what matters is the qualification, and they did a good job of that yesterday.
Well, he mentioned quality opposition, and that's what brings me to the next question to you. Mubarak, quality opposition, Romania didn't push Netherlands that much, did they?
They did that for just 10 minutes. And yesterday, if you remember, I mentioned that the Netherlands have not been consistent over 90 minutes. And so yesterday, the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, they were on the back foot. I don't know whether it was a tactics or they tried soaking up the pressure, because the Romania came very hard. They were playing on the front foot. They were creating chances in the early part of the game. But once the moment of Cody Gakpo, once that happened, then all the momentum shifted to the Netherlands. They were very good with the ball. Defensively, they didn't really give the Romanians anything, especially in the second half. And I think the first goal was crucial, because once that happened, they learned a very brutal lesson against Austria after the 3-2 defeat. So because of that, they were very structured, I think, defensively. They didn't really give away chances in yesterday's game, and yet they were very efficient. They had 6 shots on target. They created many chances, and I think the scoreline could have been more. And obviously, Romania, they played into their hands as well, because they were attacking. They felt they could pull up a surprise, an upset, and that clearly played into the hands of the Netherlands, and I think they did justice to it.
Well, so that really is the story. Romania came in there, proved tough customers for a little bit, and then for the better part of the game, the Dutch took over and did what is most important, which is to score 3 unanswered goals and securing their spot there in the next stage of the competition. More to come here on the show. Remember, we're giving away a product from NASCO, so you have to get your ears real sharp. In a bit, we'll be activating the phone lines and we'll be asking you a very, very simple question. Just make sure that you listened to every single word that makes up that question. And then we're going to give you a wonderful product from NASCO. So we'll do a round of messages, and after that we zoom in on what is ahead of us. We'll look at the facts, the figures, and of course we'll do a bit of a review as well on the technical end of things, where we take a look at some key facts and figures, some of which we've already gotten here. Adamu Ben and Karim will be joining us very shortly as well. So every reason to stay here with us on Euro Today on the Joy Prime channel, which is proudly sponsored by NASCO and Heritage Christian School. The reward comes up very shortly. All you need to do is to make sure that you're answering correctly. Well, let's bring our man here today. I'm looking forward to which proverb is going to give us, which philosophy is going to give us, and the reason for which he's going to bring all of that. So in a bit, he'll be joining us very, very shortly. Okay, so Karim, good to see you, But no, just before we get down to Karim, we were talking about, these last-minute moments and how individual players sometimes are able to take advantage of the moment and, and do something remarkable. Last night, we saw some of it in that game, that was played between, the Netherlands and Romania.
Yeah, and even in the Austria versus Turkey game, look, for me, the foundation for all of that is conditioning and fitness. We're beginning to see, even in an era where the fixture lists for every league, all of these major leagues in Europe seems congested. Players are being required to play more games than ever, especially even in international football, because there is the introduction of the Nations League and all of that. Still, players are still able to cope. Yes, there are injuries. Yes, there are the knock-on effects of these accumulated fatigue and all of these issues. But the fact that in the off-season, in the first week of July, in the final week of June, players are still playing as if we're in August or September. It just goes to show you the fitness levels of these players. And it helps that players are taking better care of themselves. science and medicine is helping in determining how players will be able to recover quickly from injuries, how to even cope with all of these exertions by what they eat, how much rest they can have, and even the nature of some of these training sessions.
Well, I just hope we don't see any burnouts at the start of the season next season. Those who are not playing in the Euros are just balling and enjoying themselves. The Ghanaian squad in England or in the English Premier League are also all over the place, you know.
They're in Greece chilling.
Yeah, they're chilling. Yeah, sure. Karim, you dream of going to Greece, don't you? Yeah, sometimes.
Santorini.
Santorini.
Yes.
So he's marrying in Morocco and going to Santorini.
Wow. Exactly, yes.
For him, it's confirmed. You know, he's marrying in Morocco and he'll go to Santorini.
Whatever you saw in Morocco, he loved it.
Well, that one, he has to
please.
That's how he wants to go back.
Nat,
Yeah.
yesterday I made a lot of enemies with just small free kick stats.
I see.
You see, I came here without a mic.
I see.
They started working. So it won't work. They should know it won't work. When I was coming, they were warning me on the way.
I see.
But it won't work.
And so is this spiritual or it's what? What is it?
Whatever it is, it won't work. That's the message I have for them.
All right. So there are statistics on the Turkey-Austria game.
Yes.
You know, and I'm seeing a lot of interesting sub-stats here. Walk us through.
That's correct. But there's something the Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu, he calls the art of war.
Okay.
And in a quote, he says, "Therefore I say to you, know the enemy and know thyself. In 100 battles, you'll never be in peril."
Great.
It's self-explanatory. So we just link it to the Austria and Turkey game. Yesterday...
But before that, you are not able to say that in Mandarin. You should have learned that as well.
That is true. I should take my Chinese lesson seriously. So yesterday before the game, if anyone had asked you who the favorite is, obviously we'll all say Austria because they've won a lot of hearts in this tournament with how they play, with especially the famous high-pressing intensity game they've. But Turkey, with how they deploy themselves in this game, it means that they've done a lot of homework. They've known that coming into this game, if they were to try and match Austria with intensity, they couldn't have done it. They conceded and forged a plan that let's sit back, defend. We know if you are going, so we want to match them. It won't work. So they sat back and used their set pieces really well, and it worked out for them. So let's look at it. Goals. One player scored the 2 goals of Turkey, that is Demiral. He plays in Saudi Arabia. A lot of us are seeing it that the Saudi league is not competitive, and one player is making us think that is true. But this
Who is that player?
I've not said anything. I don't make any mistake.
I'm sure Daniel Kranting is waiting for you at the gate.
He's one of those. But one player has dispelled that rumors that playing in Saudi Arabia doesn't really make you incompetitive. That is Demiral, a centre-back, scored 2 of the 2 Turkey goals, all of them from set pieces. And also, the Austria consolation goal was also from a set piece. But let's look at the expected goals per the chances and shots both teams have taken. Austria was expected to score 3 goals in this game. And shockingly, they don't depend on big chances to score at this tournament. But in this game, they were expected to score 3 goals, attempted 21 shots, but they've underperformed it. If we're looking at teams that were overperforming their XG at this tournament before this game, they were one of those, scoring less goals from big chances. It means that from nothing really against the Netherlands, they exemplified that all of their 3 goals coming from the left. But in this game, shockingly underperformed their expected goal of scoring 3 goals and scored 2 less, and they lost. It means their coach was saying that they needed some luck to win it. Well, the luck didn't come to their side, but Turkey, they used their set pieces really well and won the game by 2 goals.
And I'm also realizing something very interesting here, that the shots, we've got 21 here and 6 here for Turkey. And then those on target were also 5 for Austria and 3
for
Turkey.
Turkey.
So that just tells you, obviously, that in the latter part of the game, there was a lot of a high press.
They were really bumping onto the Austria box, see where the shots are. They were really attempting the shots. Look at this is the Austria, the Turkey box, and these are the areas that Austria are taking their shots from. It means that they should have been a bit more patient with the shooting they were doing, and instead of shooting from all the way out, they could have worked the way closer to the Turkey box a little more before shooting. Look at the number of shots Austria, Turkey took. Just few of them, but inside the box. See where the goals are coming. Very close to the penalty area. They knew that they lost an important player, their captain, and they were not as strong as they were coming into this game, so it was not going to. So now this one, the momentum graphic, is just coming to emphasize how dominant Austria were, but they couldn't find those goals. You see, in only just some few moments that Turkey really threatened, because they sat back really throughout the game because they knew they couldn't match Austria in terms of high intensity games. So they dominated the game, but couldn't fashion out the chances to score generally because Turkey defended really well. Now let's move it on. I want to look at the defensive actions of the players in this game. These are the defensive actions of the top 5 players who have attempted the most. That is tackles, clearances, all those sort of defensive stats. This is Demiral. He scored the 2 goals as a centre-back. And his 24 defensive actions of clearances, recoveries in this game. These are all Turkey players. In terms of, it means that Turkey, as I said, they agreed that they couldn't match Austria and sat back. Only Demiral. These are the top 5 players. No Austria players here in terms of those top 5 defensive actions. All of them Turkey players. And only Demiral, who has made 24 defensive actions, was more than the top 4 Austria players in the defensive action statistics. Only him made 24 defensive actions, tackles, recoveries, and all those aerial duels. Interceptions. So only him, 24, and the top 4 Austria players in this metric, they couldn't attempt more than 20. And look at the others. They also, if you are combining all these, only the top 2 would even overshadow the whole Austria team in terms of defensive actions. Now let's go to players that have really showed up for Turkey in this game. And one of them certainly, whose name will be sung for a very long time, is their goalkeeper, Gunok. So let me show you his performance from this game. Then I move it on to the...
So, Karim, with this, it means although Austria played on the front foot, but when the call was made for them to defend, I don't think they did it well, because from the start, top 5 players,
what this means is that
there was not enough goal-mouth action. They were not even required to defend.
Yes, so they were not required to defend. That is basically it. It means that they were on the front foot. If you are looking at the average position of each Austria player in this game, just the 2 centre-backs average a position in their own half. The rest of the 8 were always on average in the Turkey side of the pitch. And just 3 Turkey players were always averaging a position in the Austria half. It means that Turkey sat back and invited Austria to come, and they had answers to all that. So now let's look at a hero they will be celebrating for a long time.
Wow.
His last-minute save was what prevented the game from going on extra time. 34 years old, plays for Besiktas, and in the game, he made 4 big saves for them. And per expected shots on target phase, he was expected to concede 2 goals, and he prevented one of them. We all know what that is, and that is the last-minute shot he made to win the game for Turkey.
Wow. Amazing stuff there. A lot more of this to come when we bring you tomorrow's edition. But now we will get ourselves ready for that one. I'm talking about what I promised you earlier. Well, time to redeem it, and I'll activate the phone line so that you can join us very shortly so we get down to the business. So we're still here. This is Euro Today. And of course, immediately after that as well, we're going to take ourselves into the next set of games and look at the probabilities as well, right here on Euro Today. Well, it's very simple this mid-morning. It's simple because, Germany have hosted the tournament pretty well so far. I mean, the leaking roofs at the stadia, not the best of stories to tell from there, but, well, generally it has gone well. The fun experience has been wonderful. Victor is laughing. I don't know why he's laughing, but, well, let's get down to this. I promised you this. Okay, so all you need to do is just take a critical listen to this very, very simple question. And the number will be there on your screen. Just call, get through, and I'll ask you this question. Once you get it right, it's done. If our first caller gets it right, it's gone. It's as simple as that. All right, so the big question is, which nation hosted the Euro 1996 tournament? Which nation hosted the Euro 1996 tournament? I see a hand up here in the studio, but unfortunately, he's not qualified to take part in the competition.
Oh, not.
I see more hands in the studio, but all not qualified. The quizmaster has spoken, and that's the end of the story. So the phone number is there at the bottom of your screen. Get through to us, and let's give away this 1.2-liter rice cooker. Cooking your rice will sure be something very, very simple and smooth, especially for the likes of Atsu. Atsu, do you cook? You don't cook?
Yeah, I cook.
What do you cook?
I do. I cook everything.
Wow.
The only thing I haven't tried are soups.
So you have to start. Yeah, so once you are preparing soups, then we know you are there. But, I mean, cooking without cooking or preparing soups, you haven't,
Oh,
you don't make the grade.
it doesn't require any special set of skills. It's just a state of mind.
I see.
You
Cooking,
tune the mind to, I'm able to prepare the soup, and you will do it.
I see.
There are recipes all over.
So anytime
In fact, even if there is a mistake.
Especially in these days when chefs are in the news. So the phone number is at the bottom of the screen. Just call us and answer that question, and this rice cooker from NASCO will be yours. NASCO, bring home happiness, 1.2-liter rice cooker. Okay, gentlemen, let's now get down to those who have impressed you so far in terms of performance. Let's look at the team of the tournament so far.
Well, okay.
I think my goalkeeper of the competition so far will be Mamadashvili, the Georgian goalkeeper. I don't think anyone has been close. It's not even been a contest. The sheer number of saves and the weight of those saves he's made in the competition blows everyone else out of the water. Right back will be Joshua Kimmich of Germany, also because he's created more chances from right back than any other player. The centre backs will be Rudiger and then Demiral for the 2 goals that Demiral scored yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, moving out of his comfort zone to do that
is yeah. And I think Cucurella as well has been a calming presence at the back for Spain, but also moving forward, he's really helped in the team's build-up and been an outlet for them to whip in crosses into the box. And for me, he's had a very fine tournament. The midfield will be Granit Xhaka, Fabian Ruiz, and then Rodri of Spain. Then the front 3 picks themselves are just the top scorers of the competition so far, and one creator. So Nico Williams, Cody Gakpo, Musiala.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, so Nats, my goalkeeper would be Gianluigi Donnarumma. I feel across the 4 games Italy played, he's been very consistent. I understand Atsu's pick of the Georgian goalkeeper, but I felt he was really outstanding in just 1 game against Czech Republic, where he made over 10 saves. Okay. But across the 4 games they've played, I felt he's not been up to the mark as compared to Donnarumma. So Donnarumma would be my goalkeeper. Jules Koundé at right back for me. I feel he's been consistent. He's faced really good wingers who could have caused havoc to the defense of France, but he was able to keep them at bay. And the only game that Cody Gakpo didn't score was against France, and Jules Koundé played at right back. So he's done so across the 4 games. My center pairings would be Riccardo Calafiori of Italy and then Mark Gehi of England. I think these 2 players playing their first major tournaments, they've been very, very good for their respective countries. At left back, I agree with Atsu. Marc Cucurella, he's done impressively well, consistent both defensively and then offensively as well. My 3 midfielders, N'Golo Kante in midfield for me, he's been a bundle of energy.
He always is a bundle.
He's always. He never gets tired. Then I have Rodri in there as well for Spain. And of course, the number 10 role, I have someone like Jamal Musiala. I know he plays on the wings for Germany, but those three German attackers, they usually interchange. So I have Musiala as my number 10. And my two wingers, Nico Williams on the left, Lamine Yamal on the right. I don't have to explain much. We all know these players have been consistent. Then my number 9, he's not a typical striker, but I would use him there, Cody Gakpo.
Yeah, Cody Gakpo. Fellow Ghanaians, fellow Voltarians, this is the time to claim this guy. You know, Atsu, you have to claim him. I don't know why you even, you know, we know what some of these chefs are doing around, but you know, don't worry, you are valid. You are certified. You don't need to, you know. So it wouldn't have been bad because see, truth of the matter is that when you look at the geographical history of Ghana, you know, Volta was necessarily Togo, and you know it became Volta region. So Cody Gakpo is a Voltarian. That's the end of the story.
But Gakpo, no, he feels the Togolese Voltarian.
Okay, well,
not the Ghanaian Voltarian.
We have to invite him for one of the festivals. That would do the trick.
Sharp.
Yes. And talk about that, guys. There is a heavy presence of players of African descent in these teams, and it's just amazing. You know, immigration, you know, has played a very key role in this. I mean, sometimes I'm asking myself, why didn't, you know, Nico Williams also say he wanted to play for the Black Stars?
Atsu.
Look, it's...
The fundamentals are wrong.
Well, while the beautiful aspects...
You'll be exposed, so you just have to.
I know. You know, support systems are very important.
While the positives are worth highlighting, we're also seeing some countries who are suffering for the lack of, I don't want to say inclusiveness, right, in squad assembling, because elsewhere, the opportunities that are available to black minority groups who are interested in football from a very young age are not the same that are available to indigents. That's why you'll find a lot of mixed race African Americans in the United States of America. You find them in the basketball space. You find them in athletics. But when it comes to football, it's a bit different because at that age, in their formative stage, having access to high-quality football education, being enrolled into any of these academies, the process is very cumbersome and very expensive. That's why, even though there are a lot of blacks in the United States, for example, there are a lot of blacks in, say, Russia, in, say, Serbia,
France,
you'd find that not only a fraction of them make it into football, and an even smaller percentage make it into mainstream football at the elite level. Unlike countries like France, like England, Germany, who essentially have an open door policy and are benefiting from it. Because look, and there was this joke on Twitter or social media a couple of days ago about how teams like Switzerland, how teams like even Serbia or Czech Republic could do with a bit of African or Afro flavor in terms of wide areas and attacking quality. There's some wisdom in there in the sense that if you look at the quality of players Africa has been producing, especially of that make in the modern era, you cannot tell me that if they cast their net wide and perhaps decide to maybe be a bit more open-minded, advisedly, in terms of recruiting of some of these players at a young age, they cannot find the quality to. But for me, it is refreshing to see that we have our brothers down from here. A lot of them who even moved out there at a very early age and not necessarily born there, but even for those who were born there, you essentially have their families moving there within a very short period of time. But going there to get that sort of education, it only goes to show you that still the best does come from Africa.
Well, the best does come from Africa.
Who's the coach of the tournament so far?
Nagelsmann.
What about
Germany?
Yeah.
Well, I'm torn between...
Don't mention the edition.
I'm torn between Murat Yakin of Switzerland and Luis de la Fuente of Spain. I don't know, but I'll just go with de la Fuente because of the kind of play Spain are displaying at the moment and how consistent they've been across the 4 games.
Well. That's it. Thank you so much, guys. And I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about tomorrow as we zoom in on the quarters. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks to our sponsors. And of course, congratulations to Olivia for winning this very nice rice
Olivia?
from what did I say?
Yeah, she said she was Olivia.
Olivia, okay. Olivia, hi.
Hey, Mubarak.
Mubarak, you are going to Morocco. I don't know where you're focused.
You don't even know who this Olivia is.
Maybe Mubarak will present the prize to Olivia when she...
Because what he's doing there.
All right, guys, thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. You stay well and keep it here on Prime Morning. And thanks to you guys in the studio. Thanks to the whole production team. We'll be back. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sports.